Welcome to Visionaries Global Media, your number one source for podcasting entertainment. Visionaries Global Media, envisioning excellence on a global scale.
This is Banned from Ringside.
Tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast, Walter gets a new name. Jon Moxley is back. Mustafa Ali is gone. We're still leading up to the Royal Rumble. That and a whole bunch more tonight on the Banned from Ringside podcast.
It's good to know this bad boy still works.
Sure does. Ditch that 9 to 5. It's time to feel alive. Hello, Mark. So welcome to the Banned from Ringside podcast. As always, I'm your host, Bill Vagey, a.k.a. the Land Beefer Time. And sitting to my left, we have Jason Cornelius Bell. What's going on, JCB?
Oh, much warmer than we were 2 weeks ago. And on that lovely note, please bow your heads as I read from the latest edition of the Banned from Ringside podcast, volume 240, chapter 3, verse 14. And the good smart said, hashtag boo the heels. It is all good, baby. Listen, share, subscribe, repeat, the holy trinity of BFR. 2 weeks ago, I think we tried our manhood, and the text thread between Bill and I is great because it was like, I'm just paraphrasing. You want to go outside? Yeah, I'll go outside. I'm dressed for the weather. Man, that shit ended within 45 minutes. I totally regretted that, and we will never do that again in life, ever.
Shortest podcast of the post-Shock City era. And out there in Portland, Oregon, we have Two Beer Zach Bone. What's going on, Two Beer?
BFR West in the house.
Oh, man, it was really nice today
This motherfucker.
here in Portland. Sun came out, very, very lovely patio weather.
See,
Really wanted me to have some daiquiris and break out my alter ego, the rum dumpster.
Man, that almost popped me really hard.
it's great. He said rum dumpster.
I had to pull the mic away from it. Good pod, yeah.
That's
Why don't I just want to give it to him? Why can't I just laugh? Why do I have to pull the mic away and not just give him the laugh that he's looking for?
No, I'll give it to him.
It's because I'm a dick. We are coming at you from freezing cold Missouri. Man, it is cold outside. It is. It's 7 degrees outside. They said it feels like -7 or something like that. We decided to do this in my basement tonight, my very colorful basement that we spent a lot of money when we moved in having people fix up, and they it looks nice. They did a half-ass job. I mean, let's be honest. There is you probably can't tell by looking at it, but there's some stuff that is not done. But after 5 months, I had to get these motherfuckers out of my house.
Yeah.
So, but. I'm going to focus on the positive. It does look okay. It looks okay.
Dude, it's a good start if you really want to try to get to the nitpicky part of it. I can't tell the difference. You're talking to a guy that's living in the studio apartment.
We hope you guys enjoyed the Beefer, the annual Beefers last week. We had a lot of fun putting it on for you. It's a brand new year now, so
we wiping the slate clean like AEW's rankings.
I really got to start keeping track of stuff as it goes along, just to make the Beefers even better and hopefully even longer because they're so much fun to do. But without further ado, you ready to go?
Oh, yeah, man.
Let's get to that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
JCB, kick it off.
Interesting week in the world of WWE. Let's start with what happened most recently. Well, I shouldn't say most recently. Last night, I shouldn't say last night. From my perspective, I was looking on Twitter yesterday afternoon, and I saw WWE filed a trademark for Gunther Stark. And it just, for me, that signals, somebody's getting ready to get this name Gunther Stark. And I'm thinking to myself, who in the blue hell is Tony Stark's lost brother? And now why are they getting ready to name him as a WWE character? So I'm thinking in my head, who is this going to be? Who's this going to be? Who's this going to be? And the next thing you know, I didn't watch NXT, but I saw on YouTube that Walter got a new name. And I'm like, oh, God, no. So I clicked onto the YouTube channel for WWE, NXT, whatever you want to call it, and I officially see that Walter has been renamed as Gunther Stark. He just said Gunther at the end. Now, I don't even know where to start with this.
Well, explain to the people.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say
What Gunther? What the big deal is?
The biggest problem with Gunther Stark is and clearly WWE didn't do a Google search on the name Gunther Stark. Gunther Stark was a former Nazi U-boat commander, so that's not necessarily the best thing that you want to name any character in WWE or wrestling in general. One of my biggest problems with that, because I was having this line on Facebook, I guess, yesterday. They were like, Walter's Austrian or Walter's German. If you look up Walter, there's, Walter is he had the name Walter had Nazi ties too. I'm like, there could be plenty of Walters in this world. It'd be different if it was Walter Banks, if they named this wrestler Walter Banks and this dude was associated with Nazi Germany, then you can make a big deal about it. As far as I'm concerned, it's a one name. It's his given name on top of it, and he's Austrian. That's where I think a lot of this misconception is because just for the fact that this faction is part German, being Marcel Bartel is the German part, and Amian Eichner is the Italian part of it. They come off as a German faction. That doesn't necessarily mean that his name, Walter, is associated with Nazi Germany. However, Gunther Stark clearly is. You can Google that shit, and the first thing that comes up is this bad boy. So clearly WWE didn't do its due justice, its due diligence, better choice of words. Now, from that point, to me, it's more of the bigger usual suspects of WWE. Why change something if it's not broken? Obviously, for the biggest picture is for trademark purposes. If Gunther Stark or Gunther or whatever the fuck he's going to be called blows up, they have control of the name. But as far as I'm concerned, that right there was Walter versus Roderick Strong should have been a match I wanted to see. As soon as I heard they changed this name, I'm like, we're good. I know how this is going to end anyway, and I don't want to see this bullshit after that. This is what the problem with WWE is, and I've said it before, and we're going to go to Mustafa Ali here in a second, but I'll let you guys take the mic with it. My biggest problem with it is the fact that they don't have, at least in my opinion, they don't have my confidence. It's the reason why I stopped watching WWE weekly, and I'll just watch their premium live shows from this point forward. You have lost my confidence. I have no belief in you. Dare I say, you don't get the benefit of the doubt anymore. Gunther Stark is a horrible name. All you had to do was just let Walter be Walter, run through NXT and set up him versus Braun Breaker in the biggest match you can possibly have, and then have him go over Braun Breaker too. I know Braun Breaker's the shit, but if next to Walter, give me a fucking break. Walter will slap that dude in the next week. But the problem with this is now you have saddled him with this shit name, and now people are already panicking. Why? Because we've seen this scene before, and I didn't think they would do it to Walter, and now they're doing it to Walter.
All right, let's hear what you got to say, Zach.
I mean, Jason pretty much said it. I know, why they do it. It's for intellectual property purposes, but just because there is a reason doesn't mean it's a good idea. I can't imagine anybody thinking this is a good idea except for Vince McMahon.
No, there's plenty of people out there that are defending this move.
Yeah, but they'll just defend anything.
Well, no, that's tribal. That's tribalism to its greatest. Yeah, this is the hill I don't think you really want to die on. Okay, if you want to die on, AEW talks about WWE too much. Okay, that's a hill that's a reasonable hill that anybody can die upon. I give you that. This is a hill I don't even want to be anywhere closely associated with. This is the dumbest fucking idea ever.
Especially when you look at Walter, like who he is and what he does, it seems like he is tailor made to be a Vince guy, right? Except that he doesn't talk. He's not cut, but he's a big, strong dude who just absolutely rules at professional wrestling, and it's just baffling. It is just another indictment in a very long list of indictments, and like you said, they have zero good faith built up, zero goodwill built up in regards to a fan base that is not the tried and true tribalist habit, never going to break the habit, always going to be WWE fans. They just don't have any goodwill built up with any of these people, and they just keep doing all this wacky shit. It's so weird, and I don't want to get too far off subject in case Bill has anything profound to say about the Walter thing, but they live in this unreality where you have Gable Stevenson's brother wrestling on TV, and they even go so far as to mention that he went to the same college as Olympic gold medalist Gable Stevenson, and that they're from the same town, but will not acknowledge that they're brothers, and they gave him a separate name. Braun Breaker, everybody knows who his dad is. They refuse to actually physically acknowledge, everything has to be a weird secret. Why is that? It is so infuriating. Why can't Walter just be Walter? And when he goes to the main roster, they're not going to be talking about his dominant NXT UK run. That shit doesn't even exist. Yeah, they're not going to talk about anything that ever happened in the past because they do not acknowledge the past. It's just weird, and I just can't even wrap my head around it. It doesn't make sense. Just like so many other things in this promotion and in this company just do not make sense.
Have you guys ever?
They have a real quick update. They have abandoned Gunther Stark. I saw they abandoned the trademark, but he's still Gunther.
Whatever.
Have you guys ever seen the movie Vice about Dick Cheney starring Christian Bale? The Adam McKay movie.
I am familiar with it, but I have not seen it.
It sounds familiar. Who plays
Christian
Palin?
Bale? I don't remember. It's not a very memorable movie.
Okay, go ahead.
It's not very good. But I remember walking out of that movie, and of course, Dick Cheney is a Bond villain in real life, But I remember walking out of that movie and thinking to myself, that was a really interesting movie if your take on evil is that it's the banality of evil. That evil doesn't really necessarily even think it's evil. It's just kind of caught up in a bureaucracy, and then the bureaucracy ends up giving birth to this thing that ultimately is freakishly so stupid and bad. That's how I think about WWE now, because I don't think that.
Damn.
I don't think that
that's an ugly baby.
I mean, maybe that's harsher than I thought it was going to be when I started it. But I don't.
The visual ain't good. I'll say
first of all, I think there's no way. Well, first of all, let me say this: changing Walter's name is a god awful F- idea, and the fact that they thought that would be a good idea to change his name to Gunther or to Gunther Stark is something so stupid that only WWE could do it. The second thing is, there's no way they knew that this had any ties to a Nazi. I mean, when we talk about Gunther Stark, the Nazi, listen, I'm a history guy. I've watched a lot of WW2 documentaries. I'm still listening to The Rise and Fall of the Third Reich. Gunther Stark is a Nazi jobber, to put it in the parlance of our times. He's not even a mid-carder. He's just some U-boat captain who did pretty well for the Nazis in 1942 or 1943 or
Still
whatever.
called that work.
Yeah, I know. Gunther Stark, if you look up Gunther Stark on Facebook, there are hundreds of people named Gunther Stark. The fact that it's a Nazi just means that, the Germans they're just not that very imaginative when it comes to names. I mean, really the biggest problem with this for me is that they decided to change Walter's name, because Walter, especially stylized in all caps, is a killer wrestling name.
Agreed.
And it just fits.
That's what to me it is. With it being all capital letters, it just putting his name on the Titantron kind of leaps out at you.
Right.
He's already a big guy to begin with. Now you're just adding this as another layer to a larger-than-life character, and that's where I kind of have my problem with it as well.
All that being said, I mean, just like Zach said, or like you said, I can't remember, but a cursory Google search will just tell you that the most famous Gunther Stark of all time was this pretty good U-boat driver in World War II who was playing for the wrong team.
Oh, that's great.
But the reason that I know it wasn't on purpose, I just know that they didn't do it to be provocative or to be shocking. I don't put it past Vince to do that.
Agreed.
Especially Attitude Era
For sure.
style Vince.
For sure.
But that was before it was a publicly traded company. They would not
Yeah.
do that today when you can go out tomorrow and call your Fidelity financial advisor and say, I want to put some money in WWE right now. I just refuse to believe that they did it on purpose. So my whole take on this is that it was just incompetence on a bureaucratic level. They probably had a bunch of writers that look like us sitting around backstage just throwing names out. Vince said Gunther Stark. And then hell, the guy might have realized it and was just too scared to go up to Vince and say, "Hey, it's a Nazi name."
Good point. Yeah.
It's just bureaucratic stupidity. And I would not be surprised if his name didn't go back to Walter.
Oh,
well,
no.
Nah, that'll never
Oh,
happen.
no.
Yeah, you're right.
Oh, no.
I'm thinking back to the Viking Raiders, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're never going to go back to
The
it.
War Machine? No, they ain't going to see that again.
But I almost said my AKA today was Walter, and I was like, well, nobody else is using it. but it's.
I wish you'd have said that.
I'm going to continue to call him Walter though.
Yeah,
Walter's too perfect of a name, and he's too established of a wrestler to give him a different name. It's not like we're talking about Michael McGillicuddy, aka Curtis Axel, or what was Husky Harris, aka Husky Harris. It's like he has had a championship run of like
2.5 years under the name of Walter.
You don't change his name after that. It's fucking ridiculous. So I'm going to continue to call him Walter.
Other thing I wanted to talk about WWE, as long as we're kicking them in the balls, so to speak, is I believe it was either late last week or the front part of this week. I want to say it was late last week. Because we didn't talk about it last week because we did the beefers. Is Mustafa Ali asked for his release. If you haven't seen his video, you should go to his Twitter page and check it out. Basically, long story short, once again, I'm paraphrasing that his vision for what he wanted to do with his character in wrestling was not vibing with the vision that WWE had for his character, so he was going to ask for his release. So as I was on the way over here this afternoon, I see that WWE has not granted Mustafa Ali his release. Now, with all the other jokers that have been released in some form or fashion, you have a disgruntled employee upon your hands who has come to you, very similar to Tony Storm, and asked for his release. It would be different if this disgruntled employee, in this case Mustafa Ali, has had some major angles, if this was a former world champion, if this was someone you have future plans for. At that point, okay, I can understand a little more why you would want to kind of not allow Mustafa Ali out on the open market. Even if you did, he would still have to wait his 90 days like everybody else. Now, that being said, I just don't understand why we are not allowing this man his release. He's clearly disgruntled. You being WWE, had no plans for him. He went on paternity leave for 1 month and then was ready to come back. This was late in 2021. I believe it was October of 2021. He went on maternity leave for a month, came back the following month, obviously November, whichever it is. It's basically a 1 month stretch, neither here nor there. When he came to come back, they gave him the we have nothing to do, we have nothing for you line. Okay, so now we've gotten to the point where we've dropped the hacker storyline that was going to be on SmackDown. Retribution was okay for a hot second until they got a little too campy with it, and then he had a really good promo about being the face of a new America. Once again, if you didn't see that on his Twitter timeline, you should check that out as well. So I mean, it's a scenario for me where and the Kofi Kingston angle, that was a built-in storyline. Kofi Kingston, by no fault of his own, Kofi Mania was born because Mustafa Ali got hurt. And that was a storyline, and they didn't do that. Time after time after time after time, they have dropped the ball with Mustafa Ali, and now he's gotten to the point where he's like, okay, you know what? We're good. We can go our separate ways, and WWE says no. Somebody explain to me why this is.
That thing about Kofi Mania, it seems to be entrenched as truth now. I've never read anything about it. I've never read anybody that said that was the truth. I know that everybody says that like it's the truth.
If you don't want to put that on the list of reasons why Mustafa Ali should ask for his release, that's fair.
No, that's not what I'm saying.
If it's urban legend, then it's urban legend. But the dots kind of make sense to where it makes sense as just urban legend. Nobody's really come out and said it. I don't think Mustafa Ali has come out and said it. I haven't looked that up, neither here nor there. I just thought about it as I was rambling.
No, I know, but I've heard that ever since he asked for his release. Like, I've heard that several times. Like, oh, yeah, it was supposed to be him to go to WrestleMania. I don't know that it was supposed to be him to go to WrestleMania. Maybe he was supposed to win that gauntlet match and they put Kofi in. But it's not like Muhammad Ali was earmarked into being... Did I say Muhammad Ali? Mustafa Ali. Mustafa. That's right. Actually how you pronounce it.
Story.
Mustafa Ali was supposed to be in the main event at
much
WrestleMania.
less win the title.
Go ahead, Zach.
Yeah, it's one of those things where 100% he's not going to do anything with a guy, but at the same time recognizes that he has enough talent to be something somewhere else, and he's not going to do anything in good faith or goodwill. It's funny that, essentially Mustafa Ali, besides all of his talent, seems like an absolute salt of the earth, stand up kind of guy, and he has always been very vocal about never wanting to do a anti-Muslim gimmick, because he did it once, I think, when he first started out, and he does not want to do it because he doesn't want to be that stereotype. He wants people like little kids that look like him to be proud of someone that they see on TV rather than someone being booed because they're evil or bad or whatever. And 100% that Vince wanted him to do a gimmick like that if he came back, got into an argument about a new gimmick, and then immediately requested his release. It's just the absolute dirt worst.
I mean, you're when you know what Mustafa Ali has said about being a babyface or a heel and the characters that he wants to portray, and for him to put his foot down, according to the dirts, and to say, you know what, fuck this, I'm out of here. Your mind, like Jason was saying earlier, and like you were saying earlier about the Walter thing, they have not earned the benefit of the doubt, and your mind goes a bunch of different places, and it goes to the worst possible place. Now, I don't know if they were going to make him a terrorist or anything, but it was certainly something that Mustafa Ali was not comfortable with. Go ahead, I cut you off. I'm sorry, Zach.
No, that's essentially it. Yeah, they have a track record, they have a history, and it's just this week we're already getting provocative name changes and stuff. You don't have to look far back in history; it happens like all the time. And it's another baffling thing when you have this dude who has everything, literally everything except height, great physique, great face, very marketable,
great work,
great, just amazing work rate.
Yes.
And I mentioned that last because that's like the last thing that they care about too.
Yes.
But he's got it. He's got everything except height, and it's weird. It's super weird.
I
just want to see Vince McMahon's like porn searches. I really, if you could like, be like, all right, you get to find like one person's like search history. It's Vince McMahon. I want to see it.
You think it's a Stephanie McMahon deep fake?
Stop. Dude, you ain't shit, dude. You ain't shit. Fuck that.
That'd be funny if we were talking about this and we're like, hey, you know what else they trademarked last week was Muhammad Atta. Like that's pretty fucked up, huh? Like they wanted Mustafa Ali to be Muhammad Atta. They want him to be.
It's sad. I shouldn't even be laughing, but the sad part about it is that Kyle O'Reilly had a tweet that was from 2019, basically saying something to the effect of, and once again, I'm paraphrasing, that Walter would somehow get his name changed and he would be tromping around with Oompa Loompas and all this other crazy shit. He said this in 2019, and almost 2 years later, it comes to pass. That's why it's a joke for WWE sometimes to even be taken seriously, because that's the dumb shit that they do. Every fucking time I look up, you got something good going on and you can't get out your own damn way. Sami Zayn just resigned. I know this is totally off the subject, but I just saw he resigned with WWE. So congratulations to Sami Zayn. Kudos to him. They're going to need Sami Zayn in scenarios moving forward because, they're in the entertainment business. It's sports entertainment for them. I like wrestling. That's another story for another time. But Sami Zayn is one of them WWE guys. Kevin Owens is another one of them WWE guys that the way they are a performer, an entertainer, that has more value. Miz has more value than a Daniel Bryan ever would. So, I mean, that's how, that's to me, one of the philosophical differences between WWE and basically everybody else is how you present your characters. In my scenario, they're all sports entertainers, and it's entertain first, wrestle second. If I was watching Noah, Pro Wrestling Noah this afternoon. That Joker is wrestling first, dare I say, very similar to New Japan, wrestling first, entertainment second. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I hope Mustafa Ali can get this thing right and get out of WWE and just take his 90 days off and come back, refreshed and ready to go like pretty much everybody else has I've seen being released from WWE. But there is not an explanation that you can give me to rationalize the fact of why they holding this man hostage. And yeah, I'm going to use the word hostage.
They're pretty familiar with hostage situations.
I was just didn't know what else I was going to say. I was gonna just let it go. There's probably a pretty good chance that once he's done, he ends up in AEW, right? And why not?
Because number one,
I'll tell you why.
There is no room. What do you want? You want pushed. We'll hold off on that. I'll just say the short answer: no.
Well, he and Tony Khan are both Pakistani Americans. I'm just saying. I don't think that is that bad to say.
It's not bad to say. It makes reasonable sense. You're connecting the dots. I get that part.
Yes.
All I'm saying is,
plus Mustafa Ali is a badass wrestler. Like we've already said it, right?
Yes. There is no room for him there. No room.
Well, we can talk about it.
Yeah, we can right now.
We can do it right now. Let's get to that 2 count.
1, 2, 3.
Hit us with it, Zach.
So I think the number one thing we talk about in AEW should be the biggest thing that happened Wednesday, which is the return of Jon Moxley. Opened the show. Great beginning to the show. Dude came out, and I had no immediate thought about seeing him previously because he seemed like he was in good shape and stuff. That dude looks so much better. He looks 10 years younger, and he's 3 months sober, and he lost like 10 years and plenty of head fat. And I'm just like, man, what am I doing with my life? But
whoa. You are co-hosting one of the best wrestling podcasts in America, goddammit. That's what you doing with your life. Don't you ever, and the Rock means ever disrespect yourself like that. You part of this BFR crew, player.
He's right, though. I mean, Zach's right, though. You could drink a little bit less.
But, he comes out and immediately gets tackled by a fan and then just drops an F-bomb. First words back. He starts his promo, and then it's funny because it was like the most mild trash talk ever, but it was just very ill-timed. Like, the guy yelled, like, everybody's dead silent, hanging on Moxley's every word. The entire arena's silent, and this guy yells, "Get a garbage truck to get this trash out of here."
That's what he yelled?
I couldn't tell what he yelled, but I knew it was somebody that went to business for himself. And then as soon as Moxley heard, he was like, "Oh yeah, get this piece of shit out of here." I was like, "Uh-oh."
Holy!
I was like, "Yeah,
that's what
wrong
Moxley
place,
got
wrong
mad
time."
about. I thought that he would have like, "Hey
I thought he
Moxley."
said something about him getting a drink or something.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be like, "Hey Moxley, you want a beer or something?" Oh.
Yeah, when he said garbage truck, I thought he said drunk. Like, I thought he said something about him being a drunk. But then I heard a fan video. The guy was right next to the guy. And you could
I
hear
hope they
it
didn't
clear. He's the
actually
only
kick
one
that
yelling.
guy out then.
No, they didn't. And
Okay.
actually,
Oh, okay, they did.
the people that were right there said essentially he could tell that he was like shamed and he was drinking, and he was clapping along with what Moxley was saying in the promo. He just got, like you said, trying to get himself over, going to business for himself. A lot. That happened a lot on this show, especially. It's kind of annoying. But anyway, really heartfelt promo from Moxley. And
It was I thought it was a great. Go ahead, Zach.
I was gonna say I love the authenticity and the honesty in Jon Moxley promos, and it's something that was missing. He was missed, and the show is great every week. Some weeks better than others, but I always enjoy it. I look forward to it every week, but I look forward to it even more whenever he's on it, because he's a special dude as far as like pro wrestling goes. He's got it.
Totally agree. Took me a while to get there with Zach, but I'm the same way. I look forward to it every week. I want to watch it live every week. Moxley, it'll never stop be shocking to me that this guy is a babyface and has been a babyface for as long as he's been. But that was a really great Moxley promo. In fact, if you would have said Moxley's going to go to rehab for 3 months and move to Cincinnati and get his life together, whatever he needs to do, what kind of promo do you want him to cut when he gets back? That would have been the promo that I would have asked for. He ended it with, because the only thing I drink now is blood, which I thought was a fucking badass line for a newly sober dude. He says that if you thought he was raring to go prior, just wait for him now. And I fully believe that. I think that, when he left, Punk and Daniel Bryanson had just gotten there, and I think that we're in for a good year of Moxley. I'm excited to see what he does, and he did look fantastic.
That to me was the biggest deal. I think it's a state ID of mine from like 10 years ago. And if you put that state ID next to my current face right now, you can see the difference just of weight in my face. And that was the first thing that I recognized in Jon Moxley. I'm not saying I was an alcoholic, but there was a time where I would try to drink the right side of the bar every fucking night for any given time. So if that makes me an alcoholic, then so be it. You could tell that when you looked at Moxley, he had been clean because a lot of that water weight was off his face. He still looked good physically, but that was, to me, was the first thing I can tell right away is that his face looked thinner. And that meant immediately that he was kind of off the, not even kind of off the sauce, he's off the sauce. From that point, it's a classic Jon Moxley promo. It's as raw as it gets. It's authentic as it gets. And at that point, it's kind of going to be hard not to root for Jon Moxley. He said he was going to grab wrestling by the balls in 2022. And he's got the opportunity to do it because he's going to at least be on 2 or 3 different promotions. He's going to be at GCW at the Hammerstein Ballroom here at the end of the month. That's going to be the kickoff point for us. And then from that point, I expect Jon Moxley to come back.
Oh, and he will hold the AEW belt before the year is out. I'm putting my money down on it right now. He will hold the AEW belt before the year is out.
I'm not going to say you're wrong. I need to see.
I would also love to see a Moxley face Moxley versus heel Cody Rhodes feud. We'll get to the Cody Rhodes promo in a little bit. Obviously, Moxley is one of a kind. The Shield had a big week. I mean, the Shield is still the Shield. I mean, they were somebody pointed out that those 3 guys were going to lead wrestling into the next decade, and whoever did that was right. I'm not gonna speculate on who it was.
Go ahead. Let's go ahead and throw that name out there.
I mean, I'm not even gonna say it was Vince. I just all 3 guys have delivered in their own way. In their own way.
And that's the biggest thing.
Yes. So kudos to Moxley for coming back. Mm-hmm. Glad to have him back.
It's crazy that you had Moxley and Omega out for months at a time, and
didn't skip a beat.
That's what I was going to say. I said it the other night, and somebody kind of pushed back on me about that. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry. If you didn't like Page versus Danielson, I'm sorry. That's kind of on you. At that point, there was still a lot of good things that AEW
We also had a
doing.
main event that was Sting and Darby Allin versus the Acclaimed, and I didn't feel like we were getting cheated out of a main event at all. Like that seems like as long as it's presented like a main event, it's a main event. But anyway, we're jumping the gun here. Go ahead, Zach.
I don't have notes for like the kind of overarching.
What was next was the mixed tag match with Orange Cassidy and Chris Statlander versus Britt Baker and Adam Cole, baby.
That was the curtain jerker, actually.
Yeah, that was actually what I was going to talk about next.
Yeah, Moxley came out first, so
curtain jerker match.
Okay.
And this was mixed tag rules, girls on girls, guys on guys. So, lot of excited about this match because it's something different in their programming. We don't see stuff like this. And I thought that last week, the Britt Baker and Adam Cole segment was just a true delight. You had Adam Cole, who's ostensibly a heel, but he's just the coolest goddamn heel on the planet. And he is standing tall, as tall as Adam Cole can stand. Maybe he's my height.
Lollipop kill, the lollipop kill, the lollipop kill.
Hey, we didn't ask you to sing all that shit. Go ahead, Tubi.
He's standing tall with his enemies vanquished at his feet, and then he kisses his absolute rock star of a girlfriend who's arguably more famous than him. And it was just so cool, and it was just a fun moment, and they're living their best lives, and I'm very happy for them just as people, but also it was I think it's a cool act, and I thought it was a real home run of a segment, and this segment followed that up, and it was a fun match, and we're kind of leaning into this Orange Cassidy Adam Cole feud, because essentially the way it shakes out is Orange accidentally knocks Britt Baker through a table, and Adam Cole is furious, so they're going to have a lights out match next week at Beach Break. And, we haven't had one of those since Britt Baker Thunder Rosa, and I think the one before that was maybe Omega and Moxley. So these things have a history of being awesome. So really looking forward to that. I also think a winner of a segment.
I also think that Adam Cole and Britt Baker are a great act together. They're kind of like if Hunter and China got cryogenically shrink wrapped for the last 23 years.
God damn. You couldn't wait. You couldn't wait. He kind of he kind of motioned to me. He was like, let me go first. I was like, yeah, that's cool. You got some point you want to say. That's what he wanted to say. He couldn't wait. I wish there was like a camera on him because he was like chomping at the bit. I mean, it was like when you gave him Sting and Starrcade 97 and he came up with that line by himself. You could see he was kind of like rocking in his chair. I was like, hey, what the fuck?
Hey, man, I hope 23 years from now, one of them's not dead and they're both doing well.
Oh, my God.
Jesus.
I'm just saying, the world plays out funny.
Oh, my God. I can't even remember what the fuck I was getting ready to say. What were we talking? Adam Cole. Okay. Jeez, I'm see that when I'm the guy that has to get this back into decorum, this Joker has gone off the rails. I'll just say this. I don't mind Britt Baker and Adam Cole, baby, being together because obviously they're together in real life. Jesus, what the fuck is wrong with this dude? But the two things I don't like is, number one, how more and more more so Jamie Hayter and Rebel have kind of gone more and more into the background. They were kind of background players to begin with. Jamie Hayter, I don't think, should be a background player. She's got, dare I say, more talent than Britt Baker. Is just Britt Baker's the face of the division, and I'm willing to respect that. I don't want this to be, as much as I want to see Britt and Adam Cole move forward as the power couple there, because they're calling them that now. They got their own shirt, so they're basically the Stephanie and Triple H. I don't, I hate to use WWE references to it, but you get where I'm going with it. You can go with an Impact reference. I don't give a fuck, but you get where I'm going with it. I don't mind them moving forward, but I need the other people to move with them. The Bucks, Red Dragon, Jamie Hayter. It needs to all be in concert. If this is going to be that faction, the faction that basically took over for the Inner Circle, then it needs to continue to be a faction where Jamie Hayter needs to be involved, where Rebel needs to be involved. This needs to be a bigger thing than just these two.
Up next, we had Jericho, and with a little bit of friction with LAX. What you think about that, Jason?
You know what I thought about that? I mean, damn, just
you loved it.
Yeah, damn right.
Yeah, me too.
Eddie Kingston finally is at least throwing the gauntlet down to where, and I've said it, on the Beefers last week. Santana Ortiz has been a huge disappointment, just for the fact of how good they were in Impact, and they came over hot, and now they have basically been ignored, undervalued, underutilized. I get that there's been personal issues on the Santana side, but even still, there should still be more. There should have still been an angle, a storyline, except for being Chris Jericho's henchman, for lack of a better word. And now Eddie Kingston has kind of brought that to light. You see now Santana Ortiz are kind of like, we'll see what happened next week. The biggest indictment about this, when I saw Santana at Terminus over last weekend, and he's coming out on the main event, that was more than AEW has done for them for the length of time they've been in AEW to this point. He was getting over more for a singles debut on a indie show more than he was at any point in AEW. And I dare somebody to say something different.
Zach, what do you think?
Yeah, it's been them kind of in the background as part of a faction, and they've always had great screen time. They've always been presented well, and they've had good matches, but I think as far as underserviced, for sure. I don't think with their talent level, it is definitely an argument that can be made. I totally agree. What's interesting about it, though, is less like a vehicle for Santana and Ortiz, or maybe it's getting two birds stoned at once, where Santana and Ortiz kind of split off to do their own thing. The Inner Circle kind of implodes. But what's interesting with Jericho and Kingston is I don't know whether they're building to a feud or building to be a tag team themselves. Either way sounds fun to me. Like, I'm happy with either one.
No, it needs to be a feud. That if they're going to be a tag team, that sounds too WWE to me, man. I'm giving you Darby and Sting. I'm giving you that. Don't. That's Eddie Kingston and Jericho is the classic mismatched tag teams. That's WWE. That's Cesaro and Sheamus. That's fucking Kane and Bryan Danielson. It's the same thing.
Disagree. I think either one would work. If they put Kingston and Jericho together for a while, who gives a fuck? Like, as long as it lasts for like 6 months, like, who cares? Jericho's not doing anything else, and Jericho shouldn't do anything else. The fucking flabby bastard needs to take a couple months off. Maybe fucking stop. Maybe he needs to take the Dean Ambrose trip of stop drinking for 3 months. And then
I ain't gonna tell nobody to be like, you need to be doing nothing about
I ain't gonna tell nobody to do nothing about their life except for Chris Jericho. Lose some LBs, you motherfucker, you fucking flabby bitch. And then
coming in hot.
And Eddie Kingston, it can only elevate Eddie Kingston to being a tag team with Chris Jericho. So I'd be okay with it. I mean, you say it sounds WWE, which it does. Except it's not WWE. It's
their
fucking
blueprint.
Yeah, but we're talking about AEW though. Like, I remember going on this podcast 2 years ago and being super pissed off about Luchasaurus and being like, "Hey guys, if his name is Luchasaurus in WWE, we'd all hate it." That's true, but it's not in a vacuum. It is in AEW or it's in WWE. So I'd be fine with Kingston and Jericho. I'm fine with Kingston on my TV no matter what. I'm fine with whatever diet Jericho wants to go on to drop some LBs.
All I'm saying is, for storyline purposes, it's going to be real hard for me to say, okay, 2.0 and Daniel Garcia is the way that Jericho and Kingston are going to get together and move forward.
I'm not even saying that's bad. I agree. And I'm not fat shaming Jericho.
I think you might be.
Okay, I'm fat shaming Jericho. Drop some LBs.
I'm like, damn, this is the fourth time you told him to go.
Take a break, you inverted.
He's been on tour, man.
You concave chest-looking motherfucker. So coming up next, we had CM Punk versus Shawn Spears. Punk squashes him with a go to sleep very quickly. Which I'm fine with because that's what Shawn Spears is there for. MJF takes exception to it. Anything about this segment that we need to talk about? I'm not trying to blow it over, but go ahead.
Honestly, no. As much as I like Shawn Spears and I'm on record for Shawn Spears, this is kind of what last week should have been. You know, when things make sense, they make sense. When you get powerbombed 7 times, you shouldn't be coming back in the ring and winning matches. In this scenario, Shawn Spears was so worried about MJF. You know, hey, MJF, you see me here, right? And the next thing you know, 30 seconds later, he's getting put to sleep. It all makes sense. To me, the bigger issue was, well, not even a bigger issue. Wardlow has literally been organically changed in front of our eyes. He's bouncing, and this is before CM Punk. He would bounce random jobber A's 7 or 8 times, and the crowd would eat it up. And it was, it was funny at first, but now this is part of the face turn for Wardlow. He has crowd reaction to him bouncing jokers off of the ground. And then anytime like MJF says something off the wall, the looks on his face is so meme worthy. It's perfect.
I'll say this about Wardlow also, and then we'll bring Zach in here. His Twitter persona is very likable. He seems like a very likable dude, and I think that I like Wardlow a lot. I think that I'm becoming a Wardlow mark.
I have never seen him on Twitter before. I've never seen one.
He helps guys, like he's a big he helps big guys lose weight, and he helps them get into shape and stuff like that. And he touts them up on Twitter and stuff like that. Zach, what do you think?
I agree. I think Wardlow will be a star. He's got a lot of charisma, and I think this was a little bit of it's logical, which follows Tony Khan's strategy, but I think there was a little bit of a misstep, especially last week. And far be it from me, I'm just an armchair analyst here. That's what we do. But whenever they were done with that Punk Wardlow match, I didn't think it was bad that Punk won or anything. And, Wardlow looked strong. He had a visual pin. Punk was decimated. And obviously, Punk put him over huge, just not in the win. But at the end of that, with MJF and Wardlow arguing, essentially, I am more excited about MJF and Wardlow than I am the current feud of MJF and Punk.
100%.
And maybe it just takes another epic promo battle or whatever, but usually you want to think about the future, but you don't want to get the fans excited for what's next. You get the fans, or what's after what's next. You want to get them excited for what's next, so that they buy your show and tune in. And I'm excited for what comes after, way more than I am about the current situation.
That's a great segue in my head about what the next segment, which was Billy Gunn and Christian. To me, it was the perfect use of Billy Gunn and Christian in AEW. They are guys that because of their past in wrestling, and that they know each other. And Christian comes off, comes out of his car or whatever, and Billy Gunn says,
"Hey, you guys want to stay
my
here?
sons are in the top 5. They want a shot at Jurassic Express." And Christian says something, a little disrespectful. He disrespected me, disrespected a little bit, And he goes, whenever the lights were shining brightest, you never came through, Billy Gunn. He goes, make a statement. And then Billy Gunn's kids throw Christian against the garage door a couple times. And then all of a sudden we have a match. Is that hard? That doesn't seem that hard to me.
No,
it's unbelievable.
It makes simple sense.
And you can call me AEW sexual or whatever. You can call me whatever you want to. But that is just simple wrestling booking, where the guys, they talk backstage. One of them has a problem with the other one. The other one takes a little bit of exception. And now all of a sudden we have a match that I want to see.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. No, go ahead, Two-Beer. That's what I say.
You've been going first.
Yeah.
The whole show.
Yeah, go.
Yeah, it absolutely makes sense. It's logical stuff. There's already built-in egos. There's built-in competition, because this is a simulation of a competitive environment. Now, it is a competitive environment, just in a different way in, real life. But in kayfabe, everybody wants to show that they're the best in the ring by pinning other people, and there's a lot of ego in that. And you don't have to work hard to get dudes and gals to fight each other. We have UFC. That's just, the best UFC matches, the ones that draw the most, are not the best technical fighters, right? If we watched UFC into the UFC podcast, we'd be nerding out about certain matches, but the ones that sell the most
are the ones that look like wrestling matches.
Yeah.
Conor McGregor's ass.
McGregor running their mouth because it's ego and it's competition.
Chael Sonnen is perfect. He would be the best wrestler, I think, that would come out of MMA that I can think of. But go ahead, Two-Beer.
No, just kind of what Bill said, where this shit isn't hard. You already have a built-in structure for feuds. Everybody wants to be the best. They want to be champions. Or they have egos and they're over the hill a little bit and they're in denial about it, because Billy Gunn is in better shape than I am.
Fuck, that motherfucker is in good shape, dude. He's in good shape.
Damn, dog. It makes me feel bad about life. To me, there's 3 things about this segment. The biggest thing, the most obvious thing, is the dig that Christian got on Billy Gunn. I know that, we think about Christian and the Hardys and 3D in these ladder matches, but the New Age Outlaws were a thing, not necessarily on the level of those other tag teams, but they were
also a little prior.
But
yeah,
I think it's something to be said. I don't want to not give the New Age Outlaws their props.
No, I don't want to not give Billy and Chuck their props. That was groundbreaking shit, man.
That's more so the WWE, but groundbreaking nonetheless. Number 2 is this is where actually the rankings make sense. The week before, you have Silver and Reynolds. They're a top 5 team. We're looking for a top 5 team to challenge the Lucha Express. Boom.
If nothing else, it's another point to the story that you can mine some drama from. You know what I mean?
The only thing I guess is the rankings just need to be either make more sense or just eliminate them at all altogether. But
fuck no, do not eliminate them.
Then make it make more sense. In this scenario, it makes sense. No, it doesn't.
I think it makes perfect sense in terms of what they're trying to do.
I get you're trying to build matches, but then when you have a Scorpio Sky that is running around here that hasn't lost matches in 200 days, even if when you wipe the slate queen for 2022, he still hasn't lost. And Andrade,
I trust them to make that. I trust them to make that correction.
Okay, all I'm saying is in this scenario, the problem for me, the rankings, is when I don't see Andrade or I don't see Scorpio Sky or other guys that are jumping ahead of Scorpio Sky. Powerhouse Hobbs lost to Dante Martin the other week, and Powerhouse Hobbs is at 5, and Scorpio Sky is nowhere to be found. That's where I have a little inconsistency with the rankings. In this scenario, it works because the Gun Club, God bless them, they are a top 5 team. So you can at least come to Christian and say, hey, my sons are a top 5 team. Christian says something disrespectful. Now you get in that work, and now you have the match. I give you that point.
Okay.
The rankings are at best inconsistent.
All right. Forgive me from here on out. I'm going to keep shit moving. All right. Zach, Zach, I can see the look you're giving me. Do not give me that look right now. I'm going to keep shit moving. All right? Zach, don't.
Sorry, I was muted because I'm getting a beer out of the fridge.
Don't stop muting me, Zach. Do not mute me ever again.
Just say yes or no so we can move.
All right, coming up next, we have this Cody promo, this insane Cody promo that I put on Twitter last night. I said, was Cody high when he cut this promo? Because it seemed like, you know when you're talking to somebody high and it feels like you're entering a conversation that they've already had half of, and then you're entering halfway through and you're like, whoa, I didn't know about the first part of this conversation. Wait a minute, did we all agree that Walter or that Gunther Stark was a good name? Or like, what are we doing?
You call that man Gunner McKilligutty? I'm like, dude, I'm done.
He came out talking about the pipe bomb promo, talking about he called out Brody King. I should have written it down. It was a
contract that wasn't the contract he was looking for.
Apparently, he's wrestling without a contract. I mean, I have to think that he has an EVP contract.
Supposedly he wasn't listed as EVP. He's in a heel turn. This is why I won't turn heel.
He also said the word heel, which I'm not a big fan of.
So much in that one segment that the biggest thing that the whole segment was about should have been the ladder match. This is their Shawn.
And he got there at the end.
The whole thing is really should be about the interim, not even the interim title, but the TNT title. He did, and I think he said it before this whole thing started.
About all sorts of stuff.
He was like, I think before the whole thing started, he was like, I was told not to go down this road, but I'm going to do it anyway. And that's when the whole thing went on a tangent. From that point,
it was,
analyze it the way you want to.
I saw a lot of people saying it was a good promo. To me, it was not a good promo. I didn't understand what his point was. I've seen Cody Rhodes cut a lot of different promos, and that promo didn't make any sense to me as a guy who watches Dynamite every single week and who considers himself pretty plugged in to the wrestling product.
Okay, now let's get the man in here. To decipher the Cody promo.
As far as deciphering, I will not, because there was a lot. I mean, we could sit here and unpack it, all of it, but one thing I will say is delivery was always great. I saw a lot of people on Twitter saying this is like promo of the year. It was not. There were some good lines in it, but
delivery was great.
Yeah,
and also him saying about the Forbidden Door when he was like, everybody's talking about, when he talked about the CM Punk pipe bomb promo, and he goes, CM Punk went away. One guy did all those things. It was me. I did all those things. That popped me.
We were there.
Yes.
We saw that Forbidden Door, quote unquote, at least.
What, when Sting came to Survivor Series? Is that what you mean?
That too.
When he said, I was the one who built it. That's true too, because he did do a bunch of New Japan, and
when he was ROH champion, he came here. Him and Michael Elton had a nice match.
Oh, that's what you mean. Yes.
I mean, I'm talking on the very, very micro scale.
When he started talking about Ricky Starks and Jay Lethal, though, that shit didn't really make any sense.
Ricky Starks and Cody. Sorry, Two Beer, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean they're real life friends. I think whenever you say.
That's when the drugs started to kick in a little bit.
Conversation.
Like when the edible kicks in. Yeah.
I don't know why he was talking about it, but he just went with Ricky Starks and Jay Lethal. All right, man, go ahead.
So it just seemed like he was addressing kind of Twitter at large, right? The internet wrestling community entering into a conversation that was already happening, and without like kind of giving any exposition for it. Because he starts out and he says, what do you want to talk about? You know, very tongue-in-cheek, because all anybody's talking about is his contract status, and there's people acting like he's going to be at the Royal Rumble, which
as Stardust. Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
God.
There's people acting like Jon Moxley was going to be at the Royal Rumble.
Come on, guys.
Need to get a grip on reality.
Okay, I get it. Some motherfuckers just want to be, that need that attention, that want that attention. Let's connect the dots, people. And if you need that attention, then get a dog. Okay, don't throw this stupid shit out here like that. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, so he's already kind of entering into this Burkean parlor, right, where there's this conversation at large is happening. You're trying to insert yourself into said conversation, and the crowd was not a willing, captive audience. There was a lot of people in the crowd trying to get themselves over. There was a chant for "shut the fuck up," and he did kind of hop around a lot. He suffered from being too kind of all over the place, right? Like, it didn't necessarily have a specific goal. He got a lot of fun one-liners out, and it was delivered really well. And if you don't analyze it, you're like, oh, that was a amazing promo, but it was just fine. And it didn't answer any questions. And I think part of that is on purpose, because the whole kind of thing with Cody right now is kind of that Sting character from 1996, the ambiguity of the only thing that's sure about Cody is nothing's for sure. That was like the first words that Sting ever,
Yeah.
said, or the first words he said after he told J.J. Dillon he didn't have any guts. That was, but anyway, the ambiguity, right? And is a interesting dynamic. Him and his contract status, to me, seems like an absolute total work. Because he's got the reality show. He's entrenched. His wife works for the company. He helped start the company. If anything, this seems like a storyline where they're like venturing out into territories that have maybe not been done before, where they actually work this lack of a contract into a storyline, perhaps where Cody is, disgruntled because the fans have turned on him, but he's doing the same Cody stuff, and then he's contemplating leaving, but then the big pop where he actually turns back face again, where people start liking him is whenever he signs the contract and says, I could never leave this place. I love these fans too much. Like whatever, something. But I feel like it has to tie into a larger storyline. And I'm excited to see where it goes. This was a good promo. It was not an all-timer. It won't be on the Beefers list. Just won't.
I mean,
he'll have another one. He'll have a better one. He's had 5 better promos.
He's had 5 better promos in the last year, probably. I mean, he's a great promo. My problem is not with Cody as a promo. It was this promo. Like I said, it wasn't like I was my mom sitting here watching a Cody promo and being like, "What did he say? What? What is that about?" It's like I know everything he's talking about tangentially, but like when he starts talking about Ricky Starks and Jay Lethal, and then he puts over Jay Lethal's cutter, it's like, well, if my first thought was, is this trying to do some damage control about the black thing with what Tony Khan tweeted about? Because if that is that, then that's a really poor way of doing it. Because that is telling and not showing. And you're supposed to show, don't tell. And that was my first thought. I don't even know if that was it. I'm telling you, it sounded like a promo that I would cut after a gravity bong rip. And I haven't taken a gravity bong rip since I was 22 years old. So it's been 20 goddamn years since I've taken a gravity bong rip. But I remember how it made me feel.
Honestly, I think he had some marching orders. I would like to see it again before he really started to get in this promo. And once again, I will paraphrase this by saying, thank you. He had one job, and that sole job was to build for this ladder match for the undisputed
and he did not sell it.
title.
He did not sell it.
At the very end, he was like, "Oh yeah, he's like, oh yeah."
But that doesn't really sell it.
No, I'm not, dude. I'm not disagreeing with you saying.
If you want to sell him versus Sammy Guevara,
there was plenty of ways to do it.
Plenty of ways to do it.
Sammy did a much better job in his usual.
Of course.
I'm throwing the cards out there.
He didn't take the bong rip.
Okay. I'm not saying that Cody did it 30 seconds beforehand, but there was he had marching orders and he went in business for himself.
All right.
That's my guess.
See, I said I was going to keep it moving, and then you said he went into business for himself. You think he went into business for himself? I think that Tony Khan lets these guys actually go out there and cut these promos. Like, we have a joke. We have the joke on the Beefers about the Roman Reigns Beefer of the Year, and it's because Roman Reigns was perceived to be a bad promo back in the day. But he did have 2 really good promos, one where he came back from cancer and one where he said nothing, which is where the joke came from.
No, he said, this is my yard now.
Well, yeah, I know. But after it was a 12-minute promo. But the truth is, and I was going to say this earlier, is that Jon Moxley and Bryan Danielson and CM Punk and MJF and all these guys, Miro, these guys go on AEW television and they cut fucking great promos. And the trick is that Tony Khan lets them do whatever the fuck they want, right?
I would say that's a safe bet. Especially Moxley on Wednesday night.
We talk about Moxley this is our 240th podcast. We've spent so many weeks talking about how great some Moxley promo was. The truth is that this was not a very good Cody promo. And we like it because it seems a little nutty, which it was. It was nutty.
It teased a heel turn, which is what I'm ultimately waiting for.
But to say it's not going to be on the Beefers next week or next year, and there was something else that you said right before I said that. Never mind, you're stoned.
No, I mean, shit. Drunk. You cut me off, man. What you said you wanted to keep it moving?
That's why I want. Yeah, I cut you off because I want to keep it moving.
Okay,
time to keep it moving.
All right, you're welcome.
Let's talk about Cody Rhodes. So Malachi Black and Brody King. Malachi Black and Brody King versus the Varsity Blondes. It was a very quick tag team match. I have a alternate tag team name for Malachi Black and Brody King in case they don't like House of Black.
No, they gave him a name. They said it at the end.
Well, I have a better
one.
They're
the Kings of the Black Throne. That's what they are in PWG.
Kings of the Black what?
Kings of the Black Throne.
Oh, I have a better one.
Oh, do tell.
The shitty tats.
See? God damn, dude.
Oh, my God.
I literally was like, okay, boss, you want to hit this 400 yards? Here's your ball. Go ahead. I just teed it up for you. God damn, that's horrible.
Yeah, you're right. Those tats are horrible. God bless them, though. They're great wrestlers. What do you think, Zach?
I don't know. I thought I haven't looked at Brody's that much, but Malachi's got some really excellent work on him.
You talking about tattoos?
Yeah, the demon on his back is awesome. It's like Japanese traditional.
I'm just messing around. I mean,
I'll just say this.
I'm telling you this. If they were the guy on the Pornhub that I was watching, I would turn it.
Okay. Didn't see that turn on the side going to Albuquerque. I'll just say this. At a certain point, we need to start getting these tag teams together, getting them tightened up. I don't know who you have ultimately dethroning the Lucha Express. Well, not the Lucha Express, the Jurassic Express. Who do you think it is?
I think it's these two.
I do too.
Now, I guess that's more so. If it is, then that's going to be a huge problem on my side, obviously. But I guess at a certain point, we need to kind of start getting tag teams together. This was supposed to be kind of the strength of AEW, and it feels like it's 15 tag teams that's not really doing anything.
Two Beer, what did you think about the Pack the Bastard Pack promo afterwards with the blindfold?
I gist of it from the previous vignettes and stuff. I didn't pay super close attention to what he said. Pac's never been like super intriguing to me, like as a promo guy. Like I just like watching him in the ring. So I kind of tuned it out. Full disclosure.
Sky Blue fights Serena Deeb. Serena Deeb, I don't know if I've said this before. It looks like you know what it's mean. I'm not going to say it.
I think you already said it, but you can say it if you want
to. Did I already
to.
say it on this podcast?
I'm pretty sure you did.
She
No,
looks
you
like
said it in a text message.
the oldest server at Applebee's.
Okay, never mind.
That's fine. Serena Deeb goes over. Serena Deeb's good. America's top tag team cuts a promo. We have Ethan Page versus Jon Moxley coming up on Friday Night Rampage, which sounds fun. Lance Archer, Frankie Kazarian. Lance Archer takes way too long to beat Frankie Kazarian, frankly. Took 9 minutes. Lance Archer should be squashing dudes, especially if he's going to be fighting for the belt. Page comes out, slaps him across the face. I'm looking forward to Page versus Archer, but I think there's no way that Archer goes over.
Nope.
You agree with that, don't you? Zach, you agree with that?
Agree with everything. Too long of a match. He's a strong contender because he's a big guy, but I did think it was funny that
big guy, great worker. Great worker for a big guy.
Totally. I feel like he should be just laying Hangman out because he's not a strong contender, even though he's a big guy. Because nobody believes that he's going to win. I mean, I don't know anybody rooting for him or anything. You know, it's just kind of a filler match right now. And I need him to do something dastardly because, you know, he's the murder hawk. Like, I need him to do something like where I get the heat.
He should clothesline him into eternity. The Hardy family makes some sort of deal with Andrade. Did you see this? I don't even feel like
so we don't have to talk about this. I will say Andrade is giving him.
Jason walks out of the bathroom shaking his head. He's just shaking his head.
Phenomenal. Like,
what is? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just them like letting Andrade talk in broken English is so great. Like whenever he asked Tony Schiavone last week, he's like, "I went to buy this boy who's always with Sting," and he's like, "You mean like Darby Allin?" Like he's like, "Yeah." He's like, "He works for Sting." Like I want to buy that boy that works for Sting, and Tony's like, "He doesn't work for Sting," and he's just like, "How you know?" I was like, his response is, "How you know?" And he keeps talking about wanting to buy this little boy.
Dude, I'm sorry.
Darby Allin, and it's awesome.
Don't get me wrong.
The whole Hardy thing, nobody gives a shit.
Thank you. I had this whole argument about this.
Jeff's gonna show up, and it doesn't matter because the Hardys are gonna get reunited, and it'll be whatever it is.
Okay, so then I'll just ask this next question, and we can move on. So, is the end game for?
Hold on. I'm the host. Okay, let Jason ask this question, then we're going to move on.
So, is the end game Sting and Darby Allin versus the Hardy Boys?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't think they have.
Are they going to become tag team champions?
The Hardy Boys?
No, Sting and Darby.
Oh, I think they'll get handed their first loss. I think they will probably.
The Hardys are going to give them their first loss. It's either.
No, I'm thinking that since Sting and Darby just beat the number one contenders, that they will take their place and Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus will give them their first loss because then the champions beat them. They're an undefeated tag team.
Right.
And, losing to the champions is, better, and it puts them over more because they're beating an undefeated team. So I think Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus give them their first loss. But, I mean, I just think Jeff's coming, and nobody cares about what Matt Hardy's been doing. This whole, Hardy family thing is it's worse than the Dark Order.
Ooh.
It's the worst thing on AEW.
He's heating up.
Holy shit!
Let him explain himself. Zach,
you guys have seen it.
Go ahead and explain yourself. Go ahead.
You guys have seen it. Matt Hardy's great, but it's a weird gimmick. Even that match that he had with Hangman Page where it was for, their quarterly salary or whatever, big money Matt is just, it's not intriguing, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's fine. It's not doing anything for Private Party.
I don't hate this take as much as Jason laughed at it. I really don't, because I think that Money Matt Hardy and the Hardy family organization or whatever it's called has been fine. I think that Matt Hardy's one of those guys that has probably earned his right to tread water and just make money being on TV by putting other guys over and things like that. It wasn't that long ago that he had that match with Sammy Guevara where he almost died. And the guy is put in his time. So I don't agree with you that much. The only reason I would disagree with what you said is because the equivalent of Matt Hardy in Dark Order is Evil Uno, which makes the Dark Order a complete joke and has always been a joke, and it fucking sucks even worse than the Hardy family organization or whatever the fuck it's called. Is it the HFO?
Yeah, Hardy Family Organization or Hardy Family.
Now it's now the AHFO.
Okay, that's better.
They hold 3 seats on the board of directors.
Dude, don't.
He's
right.
Don't
Stupid.
put this,
He's right.
This
Stupid.
Over. Don't put this over.
He's
okay?
not putting it over. He's making fun of it.
I'm totally joking, and he knows that. It's more of a waste of Andrade than anybody else, and I'll just leave it at that.
Yes. Okay. The main event was Sting and Darby Allin versus the Acclaimed. I like this match. I wonder. I felt bad for Sting after crashing through that table because that motherfucker was slow to get up. That guy looked
60.
That guy looked like me after I go to bed at 3:30. Like Aaron falls asleep on the chair, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna watch Cloud Atlas, and then I start smoking weed, and then I fall asleep, and I wake up at 6:30, and that's what I look like. And I'm only 42, so
jacked up in the corner.
You say he's 60? He's fucking 65, 66.
He's 62. He's 20 years older than you.
Okay. He's
20
in
years
his
older than Bill.
60s. He's in his
Not
60s,
20 years older than
okay?
Jason.
I didn't say, man, look, you know what?
They're the same age.
Dude, you know what? I look better than Sting at 60, so now
Black
what?
don't crack. That's
You're
true.
Man for that.
Makeup does.
I'll just say this, man, and I won't stick to my guns about my whole problem with Sting and Darby. They're beating the established tag teams.
I would have loved to see the Acclaimed go over.
Yeah, especially when you
I think Bowens is actually pretty great.
Bowens, I think, is the better wrestler. Caster has the more charisma, so that's why you
Caster's the one that raps?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why you have them as the tag team.
Yeah.
And I have no problem with that. In this one-time scenario, and I get it, it's Sting and Darby. And I tweeted it last night. I was off last night. It's one of the few times I'm off on Wednesday, so I had the pleasure of watching it live. I get it. It's Sting. However, he was in a handicap match for about 5 minutes, 6 minutes, give or take. If the Acclaim can't beat Sting 2-on-1 by themselves, then they're probably just not going to win this match.
Yeah, then you don't understand kayfabe. What you think, Zach?
Guess I don't.
I did think that Sting's doing a great job, but I don't want to say like overexposed or anything, but like he's just out here on.
Am I the only one here defending Sting's honor?
This is the greatest podcast ever.
What I'm getting at is it's just Wednesday night. Like, you don't have to jump off the stage through a table. It's just Wednesday.
Man.
You know, like
he got up so slow from that bump. He got up
final stenosis. Like, he stopped wrestling for a reason.
They said, coffin bomb in the promo for a reason. We're not doing these sort of things.
Oh, that poor bastard. He got up so slow, man.
God bless him.
I enjoyed it. I did enjoy it. Like, I know I've made Darby Allin my most overrated wrestler the last 2 years of the Beefers. Check out the Beefers for the last 2 years here, guys. I like the Acclaimed a lot.
There was no problem putting the Acclaim over, having them pin Sting.
You know what I appreciate more, though? Honestly, what I appreciate more is AEW having the gonads to make that their main event. Like, it does not always have to be
for the title.
Omega, Daniel Bryan,
the biggest match
Paige.
ever.
It doesn't have to do that because that puts guys over more than you can really quantify. It really does.
It makes every match kind of feel significant.
Yes.
Like I said, the only problem with this, I just don't like the finish. I just wish the Acclaim would have won. That's partially me being, a fan, partially me thinking the team that's been together should go over. That's just me.
All right, let's get that 3 count.
1, 2, 3.
Not really sure where to go here, guys.
Yeah, I got a couple of thoughts. Now go ahead.
There was... Okay, so we'll go some main event stuff. So the main event on Raw was Bobby Lashley versus Seth Rollins. Hurt Business.
You were talking about like actual main event. I was like, what?
No, dude.
Main event?
Motherfucker,
Nobody watches main event, bro. But I did watch main event this week, and it's Tommaso Ciampa versus Pete Dunne that actually happened. But
dude, are you serious right now?
Yes,
that's on. Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
just go.
And Ciampa has a fully dyed beard. Because Vince is so afraid of his own.
Dude, stop!
Vince is so afraid of
his
own mortality.
No, and Tommaso Ciampa's name now is Sir Luigi Pepperoni, and his finishing move. No, I read this. This is like a Hard Times thing or something. It said his finishing move is called the Mamma Mia.
Yeah, oh, y'all ain't shit.
Fuck you guys.
Did you see real quick before you go in? Did you see that Scotty 2 Hotty said they wanted the trainers coaches who are not on TV at all to start like dyeing their hair and cutting their hair into interesting ways to appear younger, even though they're not on TV because Vince is so scared of
God bless him.
death that he has to force everyone around him to look quote unquote young.
I want everybody to look young. Hurt Business comes out and they attack Bobby Lashley, and the Bobby Lashley Seth Rollins main event.
Oh, so that was
Raw.
on Monday. Okay.
So
Cedric and Shelton attacked Bobby
Lashley.
Okay, so that's
and then the Usos came out and attacked Seth Rollins. So are we looking at a Hurt Business with Brock Lesnar? You don't think that Shelton and Brock Lesnar love each other?
No, dude.
You know they're both
University of Minnesota.
Golden Gophers.
Yes. Dude.
Wait, is this why are you
Hell
kidding?
no. Hell no.
What?
You are making this way too harder than what it is.
What?
WWE doesn't give a fuck about the Hurt Business. WWE barely cares about the Usos. The reason they do is because they are bloodline to.
But why would Hurt
Reigns.
Business come in and attack Bobby Lashley
It's just
if they
something
weren't
to do. It's just something to do. It's because of the week before.
You don't think that Shelton Benjamin is going to have anything to do with Brock Lesnar?
Nope.
What do you think, Zach?
I don't think so either. They have no benefit of the doubt, remember?
Yeah, I do remember, but I want to believe.
from
I'm like
the
Fox
show.
Mulder.
God bless you.
I'm like Fox Mulder.
God bless you. I can't.
Man, I remember watching SmackDown. I remember liking it, but I don't remember what happened. Oh, it was the final. Did you watch Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins talk shit to each other?
No.
What, you're like Zach now? I'm the only motherfucker that watches SmackDown now?
You're the only one that's watching WWE, and I said it, and I will say it again. I am not watching WWE weekly until these premium live events happen every month.
Are you going to Royal Rumble?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, me too. Who are you going with?
If I had to go knee-jerk reaction right now, because there's really
You don't know who you're going with? You got free tickets from 3 different people.
Oh, no. You're talking about physically going.
Yes. Are you
no,
going
it's a
to
Saturday. Fuck you. I
No,
can
I'm
make
going.
some money. You
I'm
can
going,
go. You can
motherfucker.
go.
Why don't you make some money? Venmo it to me.
Then I can meet you down at JP's. We can meet some French and
I'm going to be all fucked up. I'm going with David.
Okay.
Thanks for the invite.
Dude, fly your ass in, Mister.
He's heating up.
I can sit out in the patio.
Zach's on fire tonight, man.
In the patio with 50-degree
All right,
weather.
I'm going.
Fly your ass in.
I'm going to the show.
Good, and I'm not mad.
And
at
I'm
you for it.
excited.
I would not pay money for this bullshit.
I'm not.
I know.
Who would you, if you had to decide your final 4 for Royal Rumble? Go ahead, give it to me.
Men's side is Big E. Shit. You're taking a lot of guys out of the equation now. Big
I'm
E
not.
is in this. No, because I'm thinking who's in, who's out. Big E should be one of the guy that
Taking a
should be
piss
in.
is going to take 4 minutes.
Seth Rollins should be in this, and he shouldn't. I don't care. I don't care. Okay, that's part of the problem with this is they have allowed me to get to this point where I don't give a shit who wins one of my favorite, arguably, if not my favorite WWE premium live events of all year long. Okay, this is what we look forward to, at least what I used to look forward to. At this point, if you give it to Big E, then okay, now you're asking me to buy into a Big E, either Big E versus Brock Lesnar, or Big E versus Roman Reigns. So I mean, at this point, you're not giving me enough to give a fuck. On the women's side, who is left? I mean, damn, Charlotte is in the fucking Royal Rumble, for Christ's sake. So whoever eliminates Charlotte, as far as I'm concerned, Lita is the person that had some beef with Charlotte over the weekend. So I'm just going out on the limb and say Lita eliminates Charlotte. So it's a probable WWE WrestleMania match. And then at that point, I don't give a... It's Bianca Belair or anybody else. Bianca and fucking Becky still haven't gotten their shit over with from fucking SummerSlam when Bianca fucking jobbed in 20 seconds. So, I mean, if we got to break it down, that's what it is. And at that point, like I said, wake me up when it's time for the pay-per-views. I'm not watching week to week.
What do you think, Zach?
You want my top guys?
Yeah, sure, whatever. Just save us from
4.
Jason. I mean, he's trying to bring the podcast down in one single rant.
Shit.
He's like, oh, You want me to care about wrestling? I'm not going to care about wrestling. It doesn't matter.
About WWE. WWE is very,
the
very.
sun's going to turn to a red giant someday, and then it's going to turn into a red dwarf after it engulfs the earth.
Be mad because it's very formulaic, and it's all makes sense.
I'm not mad about anything. Go ahead, Zach.
I think Final Four.
Yeah, from the other guy that doesn't watch WWE.
I got a prediction for you.
Where's Braun Breaker at when you need him?
Is in there. Damian Priest just got his first pinfall loss in like over a year, even though they didn't acknowledge it as Kevin Owens. But
ride it.
That's the thing that happened.
Ride that Damian Priest. It's not happening.
Yeah, I know. I picked it like 6 months ago, and he's been like winning matches, but I just don't think it's. But I'll throw him in there for the Final Four, and I don't know. Is Brock in there? Brock's always got to be a.
No. Brock has his own match.
All right, let me
but
save
the
this
guys
segment.
that have their matches like actually get.
Yeah, from the guy that actually still watches WWE on a weekly basis. Save us. Who are the 4 women and the 4 men that are going to be in the Final Four that nobody gives a fuck about?
The women?
I'm sorry.
The women? I don't give a shit.
Oh.
The men, I'll say, the men is going to be Big E, Tommaso Ciampa, Kevin Owens, and Montez Ford.
2 of the 4 I can see.
That's my Final Four.
2 of the 4 I can see.
I think Montez Ford is ready to have one of those Royal Rumbles where he lasts way longer than you think he's going to, and the crowd gets behind him. Montez Ford is a star. He's a star.
Where's Omos at?
He's a big, bright, shining star. Omos?
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
What you mean?
I don't know. Giant Knoxville will knock him out.
Okay, see.
By the way,
that's why I don't watch WWE. The fact that he said that and the fact that it could happen, that's why I can't
Giant
watch
Knoxville's going to knock Sami Zayn out. Can I talk to Zach for a second, please? Can I turn off your not your mic. You can talk, just don't listen. Hey Zach. New Jackass comes out on February 4th.
I know. I was like, man, I wish I could watch this in the movie theaters as Bill.
And my nephew, Luke, who's 15, and I showed him and his 2 brothers, my 3 nephews, Jackass 2 like a year ago. And they went nuts. And I was like, don't you guys see this stuff on YouTube all day long? And they were like, yeah. But this is funnier. These guys are funnier. My nephew Luke texted me and he said, Uncle Bill, do you want to take us 3 to go see Jackass 4 to theater? And my heart just melted. I was like,
oh, that's so nice.
I was like, yes, I will take you 3.
Did you text back like, I hope you guys are one of you guys are old enough to drive because I'm gonna be fucking hammered.
Yeah, I know. I was like, we're picking up my friend Ham and we're gonna be stoned as fuck.
Which one of you jokers are 16?
All right, we'll talk more about the Royal Rumble next week. So we'll talk a little bit about NXT. Did you guys watch NXT? Did anybody watch NXT?
That is horse shit, dude. I'm sorry.
You didn't even watch Walter Strong?
No,
Oh,
dude.
well,
What did I just say?
right.
I'm watching premium live events only, and that's it.
Well, I mean, Walter Strong was good.
I'm sure it was. Who you think was getting ready to go over?
You mean Gunther Strong?
Yeah, right. And the only thing with NXT is now at this point, it's Gunther, Jesus, versus Braun Breaker. That's the Jesus Christ. That's
Sounds
the
cool
match.
to me.
Yeah, that's the match I want to see.
Man, there's nothing wrong with NXT. I'll be honest. LA Knight versus Grayson Waller is good. Grayson Waller, Loomis is good.
Wow.
Malcolm Bivens and Walter yelling at each other backstage is good. Creed Brothers versus Brooks and Jensen was bad. Andre Chen and having Duke Hudson come out and interrupt his shit was good.
Bruce Chen?
Andre Chen is his name.
No, Andre Chase.
No, the Asian guy.
Bruce Chen?
It's Andre Chen is his name.
Okay.
I think so. Braun Breaker.
This is great.
Braun Breaker versus Santos del Escobar.
The last of the Triple H rejects going out of NXT. Next.
The Tony D stuff is bad.
Yep, just disrespecting old Pete Dunne. That's going up to the main roster. Better change his name up to the main roster because Pete Dunne ain't going to be shit now. Tony D'Angelo taking a nice little piss on Pete Dunne's NXT. Whatever. Y'all can watch that bullshit if you want to. Am I right?
Pete Dunne's going to main roster. It'd be the loser weight.
I'm done. Dude, I'm sorry. Why are you looking at me like that? I refuse to let these jokers make me look like an idiot all the time.
You watched every single moment of every television show that had wrestling in it forever. We've been doing the podcast for 5 years.
Yep.
I've known you for 20, and you never missed a single fucking episode.
Dude, I'm done.
And then me on this episode, I'm like, did you watch
Bizarro
Raw?
World.
And
Nope.
you're like, oh, you fucking idiot. You watch Raw? You fucking dumbass. How could you fucking do that?
Hey.
You've watched a million times more wrestling than me, and I'm the asshole?
The 2
Fuck
weeks,
off.
the 2 weeks that there are literally playoff football on that you can watch something, whether it's college or pro, you decide you want to watch Raw versus that?
This is banned from Ringside.
We got some birthdays this week. Maurice is 39. Dolly Blanchard is 68. Honky Tonk Man. Honky Tonk Man still alive? He's 69.
Well, you can only hope.
Michelle McCool, Mrs. Undertaker. She's 42.
Royal Rumble, baby.
Jay Briscoe was surprised to find out he wasn't a twin. He's 38.
That WWE Royal Rumble's gonna be the shit.
Road Warrior Hawk was surprised to find out he wasn't a twin. He's 65.
He should be on a surprise entry for the Royal Rumble. I'm going with 2025.
Evil's 35.
The forbidden door open. Evil. House of Torture coming over to the WWE pay-per-view.
He's 35.
Actually, I think that's the new name for Raw, is House of Torture. Maybe it's a new Saudi show.
Give me the weed. Please. Thank you.
I'm dead.
Final birthday is Sasha Banks. She's 30.
We're going to miss you at the Royal Rumble, Sasha. Oh, you were my pick. Now we're
Hey, everybody. We know there's tons of podcasts to listen to, so we appreciate you guys listening to our podcast. For Jason Cornelius Bell, for Zach Bowman, for Vice, for your, I don't know, black leaders, for your local weed dealers, for your local servers, for your local restaurants. My name's Bill Vagey. Everybody boo the heels. 33-22 Rams.